Hi, Adam Woods here from McGrath Estate Agents. Welcome to Pine Ridge, a property that's close to my heart, one of our family farms that my father's been meticulously restoring and working towards breathing new life into over the past 5 or so years, one that I'm incredibly proud of. I'd like today just to share with you some insights from my dad, his journey with the property, his knowledge of the property, that may help you consider if this is the right one for you. So with that said, Dennis, welcome. Thanks very much for your time today, and love to share a bit of a story about yourself and about the property.
Oh, that'll be fine, Adam, not a problem.
Tell me, what attracted you to Pine Ridge?
It's a beautiful homestead, a lot of character and history to it. And I love the outbuildings that they have here, which you'll see later on. The challenge of doing improving the property and making it into a workable property.
Fantastic. Tell us a little bit about the history of Pine Ridge.
It was built by the Cox family when they came to Mudgee, and they were moving through to the Liverpool Plains when they were exploring that. And these in the 1860s. The first part of the homestead was built, which was probably at the rear of it, and then they had another addition to it. It was actually a trotting stud that came from Warren, and they set it up in the big stables up there, which is now the shearing shed, and they've got their own trotting track. And then after that, in about the 1900s, the stud was sold off to someone in New Zealand, and then came along the First World War, and Pine Ridge was approximately 65,000 acres. And when the boys came back from the First World War, it was cut up into soldier settlement blocks. And this is the last remaining sort of 2,400 acres of the original settlement.
And so that was the Cox family that came across from Bathurst and settled Mudgee, one of the four founding fathers of Mudgee, and then they were moving north and sort of
to the Liverpool Plains.
Yeah, fantastic. And you bought the property off quite a sort of famous local family as well. They'd had it for some time.
Yes, I think they had it from back in I think it was the late 70s or something like that. He was the Rear Admiral of the Australian Navy, and he and his wife purchased it back there.
What was the house like when you got here, and what changes have you made to it?
The actual house was in reasonable condition. There's no cracks in it. There's a big contour from the other side towards the stable block over there, directs the water around there, and I think there's only one small crack in the homestead itself, and that was over a wet area. Redid one of the bathrooms, so there's a new bathroom put in, and there's a brand new kitchen in there. We then polished all the floorboards and recarpeted it and repainted the interior, and it's quite a very comfortable home now. It was sort of dark. The hallways were sort of an army green, and we painted up to the frieze and kept the original ceilings there just to bring a bit more light into it, because the ceilings, I had a painter here and it took him 9 days to paint the hallways.
So it was in good order, but you just gave it a bit of a cosmetic facelift.
Yeah,
so
a bit of a facelift.
It's quite a comfortable home to live in now.
Yeah, so I come out through the week here and stay, and light the old slow combustion stove up in the kitchen. That keeps it warm for an evening, and the rooms, you can light a fireplace up there and it'll keep you warm.
And look, you grew up around rural properties your entire life. Tell me, what makes Pine Ridge special in terms of the homestead and also the farm?
It's the beautiful views you've got over here, over this lovely valley, and just to be around the heritage of the home in itself. It's very peaceful after being in a business, and at my age I've just retired, and I just like to be up here poking about, doing the work and improving the property.
Yep. Yeah, and I suppose, being on 60,000 odd acres at the time, there's probably not too many of these type of homes floating about across the region.
No. Well, mainly there was around this district area here, there was four stations, and this was one of them.
Yeah.
And just a couple of years ago, we had a bad fire here in Tungi Station, which was way over to my left over there. It was burnt down in that fire. So there's three stations left here, homesteads.
So we're 50 minutes from Mudgee and 15 minutes from Dunedoo. Tell me a little bit more about the location. What's good about where you're positioned here?
Well, Dunedoo it's got three rural outlets there for your products that you need for the farm, so it's pretty competitive there. And they have a fantastic sale yards. They draw a large number, probably 4,000 and 5,000 sheep and lambs every fortnight, and yard 600-700 fat cattle, and then every month you've got a store sale. So, which means that I can go in and buy my store cattle to replace my steers here locally, saving on my freight and have to travel. And anything I produce off here goes back into that sale yards, and which has a full attendance of buyers from the south and the north.
And, Dunedoo itself, it's got sort of all the conveniences.
Oh yes, it's got everything there. It's got medical, the little hospital there, and to doctors, and and Coola's only 20 minutes up the road, and it's got the same facilities as Dunedoo.
And you base yourself in Mudgee, so you sort of do the run up and back pretty comfortably there, obviously.
Yes. Well, we've had a stock and station agency business and real estate business in Mudgee for over 40 years. And now, as you know, you've taken it over, and I'm sort of going to semi-retire now off the place here and just downsize a bit.
So that being close to Newcastle and Sydney, is that a
it's 3 hours to shoot straight down the highway to Newcastle. It's a good run.
Brilliant. Well, look, let's take a tour around the house. So through here, we've got one of the bedrooms. Like many of the bedrooms, you've got the marble and timber fireplace surrounds, these superb high ceilings. So in this section of the house, the ceilings are 14 foot high. They range from 10 to 14 foot throughout the house, with these magnificent wide skirts and architraves around the doorways. French doors lead back out onto the veranda. As you can see, it's quite a huge room. This room actually doubles and shares an ensuite with the master bedroom, which we'll see in a moment. But you can probably just get a glimpse of the ensuite through that doorway there. Across the main hallway here, we've actually got the stairwell that takes us up to the tower. Now, they did some pretty funky stuff back in the 70s, but someone decided to put a bathroom in a stairwell. So look, that's pretty crazy. It's not operational, it's just a storeroom at this point in time. Then we go up the tower. We can get sort of views right across the property, then the district. You can see right down through there to the village of Leadville. So pretty cool sort of room up here. As we can see, it's a tight little stairwell. There's not a lot of space up here, but it was for the servants, so. You'll probably see the detail in the video here, this amazing LED light front door, all custom LED light with Pine Ridge encrusted up there. It's just something really unique. These huge hallways, just so wide. Through here is the formal living, the formal lounge. Some beautiful wall sconce lights. Again, magnificent LED light windows, double French doors. The marble sort of fireplace surrounds in here as well. And as you'll see right throughout these ornate pressed metal ceilings. Beautiful wallpapering. Off to the side is what we call the kids' lounge. Another sitting room. Perhaps the ladies had this sitting room. An operational fireplace there, still used today. Again, as with anywhere else, it's got the French doors out onto the balcony there. And again, pressed metal ceilings here. That leads us back out onto one of the three hallways. Back in the central hall here, as Dennis mentioned in the video before, it took 9 days for a painter to paint these three hallways, and they were painted 3/4 of the way up only, so quite a bit of work in getting that right. Down here to our right, we've got the master bedroom. It's just incredible. It's probably the size of a small city apartment. Again, with the marble fireplace there. And as mentioned, that links in with the renovated bathroom. So this is the original layout and design that was here when Helen and Dennis came, but they just have remodified the layout of the bathroom itself. So it's had complete new flooring put in there, all new plumbing, electrics. We've got this soaker tub and the wet room shower design. Quite a classic sort of subway tiling there with the heated towel rail. Good storage in the vanity there, double bowls and a stone top. Plenty of lighting and a really good mirror there. What could be the office or bedroom 7 I think it is. There's the marble fireplace again. Slightly smaller bedroom. This one again with an external access. Nice and handy to the main bedroom if you wanted to have this as a nursery or an office. Another bedroom through there, still with the 14-foot ceilings. You can see that one, I mean they've all got the external shutters on them, but that one's actually got the shutter closed at the moment just to give a bit more privacy. It has its own private porch off the side of this one through that door. There's no veranda on that particular side, just the porch. Something not too many homes had in 1860. This had a walk-in storage cupboard, so that's pretty cool. Just adjacent to that, another 70s marvel. This is the original bathroom there. Looks still quite operational, but it's probably needs a bit of a remodel at some stage. Back into the main hall, and we'll finish. There's 2 more bedrooms, again both with the French doors and fireplaces. Probably get sick of me stating the fireplaces, the high ceilings, but you know, really is something else. So as mentioned, all new carpet through the bedrooms. The central hallways and living areas had their floorboards polished. It was quite a big job given the square metres of the home. Back into one of the guest bedrooms there. That one still with the original floorboards, it hasn't been sanded. They've just been left original, and it's got the warm bright wood heater there also. At the end of the hall, this is where we have the Butlers Pantry, so this is where the servants' sort of quarters were as such. So we'll come on through. Yeah, obviously they had a lot of storage here, so all of the fine china and silverware was kept where it could dress the dining room, which is right behind me. We'll show you in a moment, but the servery folds down there where the cooks would bring through the meals, and there was a sink to wash up and sort of prepare drinks for the gentry. Coming through into the formal dining. This, of course, just to give you some perspective, that's right opposite the kids' room, we call it, or that's secondary sitting room. Again, these beautiful ornate ceilings. This one with the gold leaf features. Again, stained glass windows and the French doors. The fireplaces, I'll show you a small feature, what looks like a doorbell on each of the fireplaces. When we get into the servants' quarters, I'm going to just show you what that's all about. But just remember those doorbells on the side of the operational fireplaces, because that's quite an interesting feature. I think you can see like quite ornate, the timber work that they've sort of got up above the doors and those stained glass windows. Coming through, we've got the smokers' lounge with a marble fire. Now, the smokers' lounge sat off what would have been the ballroom. So originally when the home was built, you know, there was no televisions. We entertained each other by asking friends around or rellos, and we had a dance. And so that's why it has the raised podium around the outside of the room. At some point, a long time ago, they decided, no, they're going to put a billiards table in here. So this billiards table was installed. In doing so, the weight of the billiards table in the sprung floor was not going to work. So they've actually installed individual foundations for each of the legs of that billiard table, which is an inclusion in the sale. Those go down through what was the cellar underneath this part of the building. So the cellar's now been filled in on the outside of the building in order to accommodate this billiards table. So the billiards room sits on the northern end of the home, so you get quite nice light coming through here throughout the day. And then we also get that western sort of aspect back off the front veranda and the French doors. So again, on the evening, you get quite a nice sunset coming through there. But this is where a lot of the entertaining is done. Now you'll note that the ceilings here are kind of the highest in the whole house. This vaulted ceiling there is quite special. Just double back. We're going to go back and we're going into the servants' quarters. As we come through, you can get an idea of just how solid this place is. You know, that's a doorway. You know, that's a good sort of 1.5 feet wide. And when you're actually up in the roof, these walls actually serve as walkways. You can walk around up in the roof. It's so high, and these things are so solid to walk along. So the Butlers Pantry also serves as a laundry at the moment, and good linen storage. What would have happened back in the days, we had the servery drop down there, the meals would be brought out. So probably notice when we come through these rooms, they're quite basic in terms of the ceilings. So we don't have the cornice, we don't have the pressed metal ceilings. They did pull back on their finishes when it came to the servants' quarters. Even the skirting boards, still a nice wide board, but not near what we've seen out further. So this probably would have been a sewing room or another sitting room for the servants. And then into what is the new kitchen. So this was replaced. So it's got a new Smeg 900ml cooker, as well as a Smeg dishwasher. We've got the porcelain double bowl sink and all these soft close shaker style cabinets complemented with a bamboo timber top. And then in terms of original features, we've still got this beautiful fuel stove, which is an operating fuel stove, still used to this day, keeps the kitchen nice and warm. And the kitchen also has a storeroom for the foods there. So a nice big eating kitchen and flows outside quite well. So that really concludes what is the internal part of the house. From here, what we're going to do is step outside and we're going to take you around some of the outbuildings of Pine Ridge Homestead. Okay, so we're situated now just outside the kitchen. This is the central courtyard where the 2 last bedrooms that I showed you, the original bathroom, and then the 3rd bedroom that we saw all sort of feed onto. So this courtyard creates a nice little light well, brings the light into those rooms. Now, remember I said the servants' quarters, they got to sleep outside, and here they are, a couple of bedrooms. So both these bedrooms have had new flooring put in. So it's just a yellow tongue floor. It's ready for carpet or some timber planking to go in. They've been painted and sealed, but they've not been finished or decorated at this stage. It was actually 2 rooms that they've sort of opened up. Again, it's had new bearers and joists put through, new yellow tongue flooring. So it's really open to what you want to do. Like with 7 bedrooms inside the principal house, I'm not sure how many bedrooms people need. You might have a big family, so maybe some of your less favourable sort of children can sleep out here. If we take a walk around the outside of the property here, we've got a sandstone building which is used at the moment as a mower and garden shed, but really could be converted into anything, a little studio. You know, you could have that front enclosed and be something different. We've got this neat sort of freestanding sandstone building here, which again would have been an extension of the servants' quarters and the gardener's sort of cottage. So that was sort of made up of 3 rooms. This room here, again, just used as a storeroom right now. It's got a concrete floor. It's all lined inside. Just a single room. Again, we've just got another outside room. Call it what you want. It's got ceiling. It's got power, lighting. It's good to go with what your vision entails. And then finally, remember I did say we do now have an internal laundry because the Butlers Pantry is used as such, but there's also this secondary laundry, or could be converted into perhaps a bathroom and punch through to the other 2 rooms in this building to create a granny flat quite easily. Over in the corner here, we've still got the original copper. So the old way of doing the washing. Down through the garden, we've now got the meat house and what was the servants' bathroom. So there you have it, Pine Ridge Homestead. You know, an opulence of a bygone era, but 827 square metres of absolute magic. Look, let's learn some more about the rest of the property. What a magnificent home. I mean, you really don't see homes built like that these days. You just couldn't replace something like that.
Imagine seeing something like that in Hunter's Hill and what the ticket's going to be on it.
Yeah, you wouldn't find a block of ground that big. Look, yes. Tell me about the other accommodation here.
Well, while we're on that size, that is 870 square metres at the homestead.
Just under.
Yeah, we have another 5-bedroom residence. It would call the manager's residence. And there is a small workman's cottage out the back of the property, which needs a bit of work doing to it. But, you know, it'll be all right for a workman's cottage, and it's got a bore on it and power.
And they're pretty well positioned away from the homestead to give you privacy?
Oh, yes. You'd be up to the manager's residence, which is back over the hill there. You don't hear any noise or anything. And then the best part about it is the workman's cottage out the back is at the rear entrance of the property.
What's the water supply like, and what have you implemented since you've been here?
Well, when I first came here, there was a well on the property, and gravity feeds down, but there is a pressure pump on that. But during the drought, it was only very little water, and so that when we built the big new workshop, we put on tanks there, and then I transferred the rainwater back right through the house, so it's all on fresh rainwater.
Nice soft water.
Yeah, it's beautiful soft water, tank water. And so then down there is a bore over what we call Bill's Cottage out the back. That water can come back over this side for stock water. Yeah. The other one there was down at the front gate. We put one in there, and it's on near the old riverbed. Very, very good water. It nearly tastes like tank water. Yeah. It does 3,000 gallons an hour. It's on a solar pump, which feeds up and feeds into a couple of dams, and then back up to the manager's residence. Yep. And then to the homestead. It goes to a tank over near the wooden stables that belong to the house here, and on a pressure system with taps. We put all new taps right around the outside of the house.
Wow, so there's quite a bit of existing infrastructure in the ground there, because we're like about a mile or 1,600 metres between these 2 houses, and they're linked when it comes to water.
Linked onto that good water.
Fantastic.
Yeah, plus their rainwater tanks.
So now just updating and having that sort of supply of fresh water, and the new bores really sort of drought-proofed the property.
Yes.
So you can
the drought, like the river did run, stop running. It's running at the moment, but we have plenty of dams on the properties, and in the last 6 months before the drought broke, I had an excavator out here, and all the dams were cleaned out and enlarged, and put more contours on them to catch more water. So there's not a problem with water, and there never was in the drought in the dams. Yeah. We had plenty of water. While we're onto that, in the drought, I cut back my numbers to anywhere from about 170 to 200 steers, buying in weaner steers, and it wasn't till end of January that I bought my first lot of hay,
Wow.
And there was 30 big square bales, and there's still 24 of them left there. We managed to get through and just sell our steers off as feeder steers to the feedlot. Brit little fellas back on, 200 to 220 kilos, and they battled through with urea and spread them out all over the property.
Yeah, yeah. So in terms of production, tell me what an average year at Pine Ridge would kind of look like.
Well, I was told when I came here, when it's unimproved, that it'd run 150 breeding cows, but I was running just the first year in 16. I had 300 steers on the place, and they were doing quite well. I didn't have a problem. We've gone through a program with an agronomist at Mudgee, and there's a plan on the property. We've now set it up that this year, because the drought, really stopped us 2 years ago from going into that program, but we've got 200 acres of oats sown at the moment, and that's the country that's ready to go under the black soil. It's ready to go under sort of lucerne or pasture country. And we've only been on this side of the property. Over the back, the first year I was here, I sowed in 120 acres of oats out there, but it's another program. We're gradually moving from this end of the property right through. So this year, hopefully with the way the weather's prevailed, we should be able to sow price and then lift up the stocking numbers and utilise it by running a few sheep too and using it as a mixed property.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's fairly diverse. You can run your breeding operation here. It is a good steer production block, or sheep.
Background steers here, and run a few sheep in, to clean up. Yeah.
Yep, excellent.
Now the country's mainly, we've got a couple of, I think there'd be 160, 70 acres of flat black country there, and it goes off to some sandy, loamy country. Then towards the back of the country, it runs a red basalt country, back down to loamy sort of country,
So it's quite a diverse sort of holding, really, because a lot of the properties in this district, you've kind of got a lot of the one. So you might have those black flats. They're wonderful when it's a nice wet season, but when they dry up, they're pretty hard going. Or you might sort of, be on the lighter stuff and not have any of the heavier.
Mixture of soil types.
Yeah, excellent. Tell me, what's the fencing like on the property here?
We've done probably close to 5 kilometres of fencing on the property, new fencing, and there was a lot of good fences when Andrew Brome owned the place on the property. All the boundary fences are really good, and all the internal fences as you go back to the back of the property, pretty well 10-year-old fences would be the oldest, and I'd say, that 95% of the fences is all like pretty well new, Like you wouldn't spend any. There's nothing to spend on fences. Okay. And then there's a couple of places there where they join the neighbours. All the internal is really good.
Excellent. And in terms of livestock and sort of handling, you replaced the stockyards. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, there were timber yards and rails. I rebuilt them with cattle panels and concreted in steel posts, and we welded to them and made a set of, as you can see on the video there, made a set of steel yards. I can bring 100 steers in at a time and handle them and draft them, and do all my stock management work on them, and with ease.
And you do all that by yourself, so it's a pretty safe sort of setup.
Yeah, I've got both that'll give me a hand when we're drafting cattle, or when I've got saleable cattle. All the agents are out here, and they'll give me a hand to draft them. And then there's also a set of sheep yards, steel sheep yards. That we rebuilt out of top cattle rail and mesh, so they're all new, the sheep yards. So there's no money to be spent on fencing or stock handling facilities. It's got a part laneway system through it. So no, you walk in here, you wouldn't spend anything on your yards or the fencing. It's got to the stage where this property now needs to the pasture improvements to go on, and that'll up your carrying capacity of the property.
Tell me, the woolshed, that's something else. I've never seen anything like that before. What's the history behind it, and tell me a bit about how it's used now? As
we're saying, this was a trotting stud, and the arched sandstone stables, they were actually all stables inside, and they pulled them out and turned it into one side of it is a shearing shed, and the other side they pulled it out, and that's just to store sheep in there to dry overnight before shearing.
with like some pretty sort of serious hardwood flooring in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's something else. You can imagine a wedding venue or something there if it was.
There'll be lots of things
If
you
the
can do with
right
it.
person could get a hold of it, it could be something else.
It's got a lot of potential for that sort of stuff, you know, Sydney getaways to come up. Yeah.
Well, I think that a lot of the locals know it from the school excursions. They used to sort of get brought out here as kids, and it was that's because it is such an iconic local property that they used to come out and do that day visit, and it's well known throughout the district. So kind of in addition to those sort of on-farm improvements we've talked about, there's also the 2 hay sheds, the original hay sheds there, the 2 silos, one which you've replaced, and then tell us, you built this new workshop / machinery shed. Tell us a little bit about that and the design of that.
Well, that has got a lock-up main workshop area, concrete eave out the front of it and into one of the bays, which are they're 9 metres by 6 metres, the bays. So there's 3 of those. One of those concrete is for forklift, so you can handle the forklift on the concrete around into the workshop. Yeah, no, it's quite good, and it's got this property has got a quarry on it, which has got a beautiful road base mark, and that's why around the shed there, even in this wet, even 16, and even now this winter, it's you can drive a truck over and have no problems.
And it's a nice high shed.
Yes. I think it's 4.4, I think.
So
high.
You can get your stock truck.
Yeah, you can get your stock truck or trailer in there. Yeah.
Power to the shed there.
There's power to the shed, underground power to the shed. It also has got security cameras on there that'll face to the homestead and the entranceways into the machinery yard.
Yep.
Yeah, and plenty of power points for tricklers to go on your machinery.
Tell me, obviously you've poured a lot of work into this. It's been a labour of love and you've enjoyed it. What does the future hold for you?
Oh, well, it's just, I'll be sad to go past the old homestead and everything because it's been great being here, but as you get older, there's other things you've got to do in life, and you don't go back to use, you go back to go the top way. So I'm just going to take it a bit easier now and probably downsize.
So, I'd imagine in owning a big property like this, you really are a custodian of history for future generations, and it's your job to maintain that and hand it over in a better position in what you found it. And look, I think you've achieved that, and it's a credit to you and a credit to all the hard work you've put in. And I'm really excited about finding some new owners for this property. And sort of seeing what this marketing campaign throws up. But I'm sure everybody that's watching this video now will get a chance to meet you and find out more and ask a few more questions throughout the video. But thanks for sitting down with us today and giving us a small insight to what is Pine Ridge.
Thanks, Adam. It was great.